How many people have been in Frontline?
We had 5 pilot.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to start you up. We have a dummy account that I can use. That way I'm not actually messing with anyone's attendance or timesheets. So when you go into Frontline, it's frontlineeducation.com, and then you'll click on the little sign in button here up in the upper right. That's going to give you 3 options to sign into. The one you're going to be signing into is time and attendance. So if you just go ahead and click sign in there. I'm already signed in my fake account. This is a screen you will see once you sign in. From here, you're going to go to timesheet. Now, with Frontline, it's actually such a seamless process to enter your hours. So this will be the screen you see when you go to enter a timesheet. The first thing I want you to be aware of is this section right here that I've highlighted in blue. It's the calendar. This is the pay period. So it should say quad weekly, and it should be the current pay period. If for any reason it is not the current pay period, you just click on the calendar and you change it down to whichever pay period you're in. For now, we're just going to leave it at the current. Hit change date and done. Now we're going to click on actions, and you're going to click to add a timesheet. So here is where most mistakes will be made in Frontline. When you see this menu pop up, it says dates, Friday, February 16th. That is always going to be the default date when you go to enter a new timesheet. You will want to click the little down arrow and select the day you actually are working on or have claimed hours on. So for this one, let's do Wednesday, the 21st. Also important to note here, you are not allowed to claim hours on a SCOE holiday. Now, on your timesheets, the SCOE holidays used to be blacked out and you were unable to claim hours. They are not blacked out in Frontline. So we will, if you don't already have a SCOE calendar of holidays, we will make sure you are sent one. I just recently had an ETE claim hours on a SCOE holiday, and that is absolutely not allowed. So we're going to go ahead and select Monday, February 21st, or Wednesday, I'm sorry. If you work for multiple departments, you may see a drop down here. So I guess this fake account has been assigned a few different positions. Most of you should only have one. But if you do, you want to make sure that the hours you are about to submit are for the correct position. So you would just select your position and hit OK. That's going to bring you up to this timesheet. Now remember, in the past, a timesheet was for your entire month. This is basically a timesheet as a day. So for all the hours you worked on Wednesday, February 21st, you're going to do one timesheet. You will do another timesheet for the following day. So here you're going to put your duration. If I work 6.5 hours, oops, I have to move my Zoom controls. I'm sorry, I can't see. So I'm going to go duration. I'm going to go 6.30 because remember, this is hours and minutes. And here, I believe you are all for OTAN. Everyone is doing the timesheet tracker. Is that correct, Diana? The work log?
Yes,
Okay, so likely you don't need to insert any comments.
that is correct.
You're just going to go ahead and make sure that your total is what you entered. We do try to lump them into 8-hour days if possible. If you're able to save enough and do 2 8-hour days and 1 7-hour days, that's better, just because you are capped at 50 working days a year. Even if it's only an hour each day, we could contract you for 400 hours. But if you claim 2 hours each day 50 times, at 100 hours, you are done and you are no longer allowed to work for us for the remainder of the year. So be cautious about the amount of days. Each timesheet you enter here is a day, just like each entry on your paper timesheet was a day. So once that's done, you have that. You just, if it's correct, you click Save Changes in the upper right. It's the green button, and click Save Changes. So that timesheet's done. Now we want to go, okay, well, I also worked that Friday. We want to come back up to actions, like add a timesheet, change the date down to Friday, make sure it's the right job. You're not allowed to create. Oh, yes, well, I'm not. That's fine. So let's say we worked on Tuesday, February 20th. I'm trying to select a future date and I can't do that. So let's say we worked also on Tuesday. We're going to add a new timesheet for Tuesday. Going to click OK. We're going to do the same thing. And this time we're going to claim 8 hours. And we're just going to hit save changes. And that's that. Once you have entered all of your hours for the pay period, you will submit them. In Frontline, you do have the option to submit as you go. So if I say, okay, I want to start entering my time weekly, that is absolutely okay. So at this point, these are the only hours I'm working this week. I can go ahead and click submit. It's going to say these are the timesheets you have currently that you're submitting. You're going to hit continue. You're not going to do a comment. You will, however, have to check this box. This says I certify that the timesheets are true statement of the hours recorded for me in the time period indicated. And you'll hit submit timesheets. That's off your plate. It's back to us. If we will only certify your timesheets at the end of the pay period. So if next week you're doing something and you go to enter your hours for next week in here and you realize, oh no, I meant to type a 6, but I put in 8, not a problem. Upper right-hand corner, you can do undo submission and you can undo that up until we approve your hours. So it is up to you whether or not you want to submit weekly or you want to submit monthly. That's your call. You can always put them in here. You don't have to submit them. You can just save them and you can wait to submit until the end of the period. So if I want to unsubmit, I'm just going to unsubmit all and revert submitted timesheets. Yes. And now they're back in my folder as the ETE and admin is unable to see them. That is as simple as it gets, you guys. Once you're done doing your timesheets, you can, let's see, could I do Friday? Let's do some hours on Friday, just 5 hours. I don't really want you to do 5 hours, but if you need to, you can. If you have multiple departments, let's touch on that because I know some of OT and SME's work for other departments. So if I wanted to do this and put in 5 hours, because I know I worked 5 hours for OTAN, but I worked 3 hours for someone else, I could then add a new event on the same day and do 3 hours and submit it that way. When it comes to us like that, right here under the account, you guys don't have that, but we do. And we have the ability to go in and assign OTAN's budget for these 5 hours and Cape Tap's budget for these 3 hours. So that's how you would enter multiple hours on the same day if you are working for 2 different departments. I don't know if you are currently, so we'll go ahead and just delete that one right there. And then we will save changes. And again, if you log out and you log back in, they should all be collapsed. This will be your view, and you will just hit the down arrow to see what you put in for that. It does tell you at the top the amount of hours you claimed. And then it comes to us and we approve. I think Diana and I approve for our departments, and then it goes to Renee for the final approval. We're just making sure that the budgets are right, that the hours you entered here are matching up to your paper timesheets, because I believe the first time you do this, you will have to have a paper timesheet as well. And we will submit that to SCOE payroll department just so that they can go through and make sure, okay, you guys did this right. You claimed hours on the 17th, the 21st, and the 30th. And yes, in Frontline, you have those 3 days with the correct amount of hours. When we first started as a department, everyone who entered a timesheet went to add a timesheet. They did not change the date and they just submitted. So everyone had 25, 30 hours on the same day, which is not allowed either. You can't add 2 timesheets for the same day. So if that's what you're trying to do, you would simply go back here and add a new event to add more hours to that day. So that is the training in a nutshell. Let's see, is there a way to see how many of the 50 days we are at? how many we have left. Yes, I believe, Diana, that is something, do you update them with, or is that something they have access to for OTAN?
No, but I wonder if there's a report that can be pulled from Frontline moving forward. I have like my own spreadsheet where I track the days, but that's not shared with the SMEs. It's just like on our back end, the information that we have. But I wonder, Frontline, if you can like pull up a report and see how many days you have used.
I don't know if that's a functionality of Frontline, and for this fiscal year, it would not be helpful simply
Right.
because they're just starting to use it. So, I think that if you would like an update on, I know for me, I have a cutoff, and when my ETEs hit below this many days remaining or this many hours remaining, I email them and just let them know. And so Diana is tracking all that. So I think that, Francisco, if you want to know, or anyone, if you want to know the amount of days you're at, possibly send Diana an email and give her, a bit of time to research that, because right now there's no way to know instantly. We have to go back through all your paper timesheets, and we have to count every single time you entered hours. So it is a manual process for her. So just give her some time to respond, and then she can update you as to what you're at from the day you started for the 23-24 year until your last pay period. Keep in mind, whatever number she gives you will not include any hours after February 15th.
Yeah,
Okay.
and payroll also tracks the days. I don't know what method they use, but they do track the days worked as well.
Right. They track the days. Unfortunately, payroll probably will not tell us until they're saying, oh,
Yeah,
they're
until
done,
it's up. Yeah.
until it's too late. Susan, so we can only add hours after the date we enter. Yes, quite often we are asked to estimate hours in advance. Okay, so I understand that you are asked to estimate hours, and that's usually to get it in before the pay period. So if you know for a fact that you're going to work, the pay period ends on March 17th. If you know for a fact that you're going to be working 8 hours on the 17th, but you didn't work anything on the 15th, you can add those hours in on the 15th to get it in on time and Frontline. But then on your work log that you do of tracking your hours, I guess you would put the correct date on that. Diana, how do you want to handle that? I don't have my SMEs or my ETs estimate hours, but I know you guys do because you have so many. And honestly, everyone, the reason we do that is because the pay period ends on the 17th. They're due 2 days later to payroll. And in that 2 days, we have to go in and make sure the budgets are accurate. We have to make sure that your hours and that the work align. We have to get a manager's signature, and 2 days is not a lot of time to go to 2 different desks for approval. So how do you want to handle that, Diana?
Yeah, well, with the paper timesheets, I typically request timesheets due 2 days before the end of the pay period. So if the pay period ends like on the 17th, for example, it would be due, I would request them to be due on the 15th. That way I have enough time to just process all of them and then get the signatures, make sure all the times are correct. I have to match them with the work log. And if there's any mistakes or if it's not matching, that's still like that takes time for me to process all that and then get the signatures. So I think we'll stick to the 2 days, even with Frontline, and then you guys can just estimate your time, like Holly said. So if you project you're going to work 8 hours the last day, you would put the 8 hours on there.
Yeah, you won't be able to go into Frontline and put 8 hours on the last day of the pay period. If you're doing that on the 15th, it will not let you claim any hours on the 16th or 17th, as you saw I just tried to do. If I try to add that timesheet and I try to do it for, what are we at today, the 21st? So if I try to do tomorrow, I'm not allowed to create future timesheets. So you will have to get creative as to when you claim those hours. If you had a day that you did not work, that you're able to add it in Frontline, just be sure, in the time tracker for OTAN to mark it accurately. Now, for the first month that you do this, they are going to match your paper timesheet. You still have to do your paper timesheet and they're going to match it to Frontline. So with that, I warn you, I caution you about putting those hours truthfully on the paper timesheet for March 17th, but claiming them on the 13th or 15th in Frontline. That's going to be a kickback and they're going to say the dates don't match. So whatever you put in Frontline, you need to also put on your paper timesheet for the first month. And then after that first month, if everything goes smoothly with the department and with the ETEs, paper timesheets will cease to exist. And Frontline will be your only method of reporting your time to SCOE and to OTAN. So once that happens, you don't have to worry about matching the dates anymore, but you always want to be accurate with your tracker that you use to submit the work that you did, the tasks that you did to OTAN. That needs to be 100% accurate. That's an internal document. It does not go to payroll. So you make sure that is accurate. Are there any questions? And please feel free to come off mute and just ask the question. Let's see, something's in the chat.
Yes, Deborah, the paper timesheet is the one that you currently fill out in Adobe. So this coming up pay period, we're still gonna do the paper timesheet and Frontline. And then payroll is gonna be matching those up, making sure that everything is correct. And then moving forward after, so the following pay period, after this pay period, will be transitioned to Frontline completely. So you don't have to do the paper timesheet anymore. So one more paper timesheet. After that, no more.
Yes. And like I said before, you're able to go in every Friday if you want, or even every Saturday and submit your hours for the previous week. You don't have to submit them. But if it's easier for you to submit them as you have 8-hour lumps of time to submit, I have my ETEs and I'm not OTAN, please understand that. So I tell my ETEs to save all their time and lump them into 8-hour days, because we have had situations where we have not been able to hire someone for the full 400 hours because their days were maxed out by claiming 2 hours here, 4 hours here. So I tell my folks, wait until you have 8 hours and go in and claim it. So, okay, and you guys do the same. Yeah. So at the end of the week, if you have at least one, say you worked 12 hours last week, you can go ahead and enter that one 8-hour day. You can actually also enter the 4-hour day. And then when you come in the following week and you have 4 more hours, you would just go to add a new event to the 4-hour, to the one that says total 4 or total 5 here. And you would just add a new event for the remaining hours. If it's easier for you to wait until you have 8, 16, 24 hours to go in and claim hours, you can go in and claim them as you have the hours to claim. Again, you can submit by the 15th. Diana, question, Netta, will you guys be requiring them to submit 2 days prior once everything is officially in Frontline and there are no more paper timesheets?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess we can see how things go throughout
Okay.
this pay period. And I mean, if everything goes smoothly, then we can just stick to the deadline of the end of the pay period.
Okay. And
We
just
haven't really discussed this.
okay. And Barry, I see that you have a question. I just want to follow up on this really quick. This is something we were told during our trial of Frontline. Late submissions, so Frontline is locked. They're going to lock Frontline at the pay period end on March 17th. On March 19th, Frontline is locked and you won't be able to submit a timesheet. In the past, you were able to, maybe you've turned in your timesheet late for whatever reason. There are fees associated with late timesheets by PERS, by STRS, sometimes by SCOE. And so they are going to lock Frontline 2 days after the end of the pay period. Late timesheets will not be submitted. If a late timesheet has to be submitted, it's going to require a justification from your department administrator with a paper timesheet to go over to payroll and request authorization to pay that timesheet. If it happens too often, it throws up a flag to SCOE that this is, someone who's habitually late. And I don't know what will come of that. We haven't had that happen. So, Barry, go ahead. I know you had your hand up.
Okay, so I just want to clarify. And I'm sure others, we work for other districts, and I have always avoided claiming time on timesheets for SCOE, for example, where I'm assigned in my other district, because it could present at some future audit, perhaps, why are you claiming time working for Sacramento when you should be being paid by Los Angeles, right? You're on.
Correct.
So my question then is, this is an understanding that you have that we can claim hours for times that we don't actually physically work them. I just want to, make sure that's clear, because I've always avoided, I've always been very careful not to claim hours for SCOE when I am being paid by LAUSD.
Right. So I see that Netta put in the chat for OTAN, you can work weekends and after hours. So if you're able to, lump those, and I think I see what you're saying with after hours. So if you were to work after hours on Monday for 3 hours, you wouldn't have 8 hours, right? After hours typically. Although I will say, I'm up for more than 16 hours a day. So if you're at work for 8 hours and you work for OTAN for 8 hours, I don't know that anyone could come in and say you did not do that. But you can claim them on weekends. You just can't claim them on holidays. But I do understand why you do that, because of the perception, and perception is everything in this world. But I would just say that, if you claim 4 hours on a Wednesday and then 4 hours on a Thursday, that's 2 days. So if you are in a position where you have been contracted with OTAN for 400 hours, or OTAN for 200, but another department for 200, if you have a 400-hour contract, that's 50 days, 58-hour days. And once you hit your 50 days, you're done, whether it's 400 hours or not. This is a rule that has been long-standing with SCOE, but not long enforced. We have new administration, and it's now being enforced. So, I don't want to tell you exactly, Barry, how you should do that, but take advantage of your Saturdays and Sundays for claiming hours. If it's likely that you work more than 16 hours a week for OTAN, then you may have to claim one day with 8 hours. And again, what are they going to do? Say you did not work for your district at 8 hours and OTAN for 8 hours? They don't know that. So as long as
there's nowhere on this which specifies which hours, like
no,
you don't have to put a time.
no.
Right. Okay. All right.
No,
Well, that would be helpful.
Yeah. And for anyone, I see, John, that you had not received the access to Frontline. So I will tell you, I had an ETE who did not do Frontline the first period that we did it, and the link that they were sent expired. So if your link to create an account in Frontline has expired, or you did not receive it initially, email Diana and let her know. She can email Mohammed over in payroll and ask that a new link be sent to you. It will come from Frontline Education. And I think that she may have even emailed you the email address that it comes from, so that you can check your spam or whatever, but it has happened. So I have not received an email with an access link. Okay. So what we will do is Diana will reach out to our payroll department, for anyone who says in here, or anyone who emails her, and ask that a new link be sent to you guys. Just try to be timely and clicking on that link so that it does not expire.
Thanks, Holly. Appreciate it.
Of course. Any other questions?
Hello, this is Farzana. I missed the first part and I see the recording. And even though I am here, I don't think my 100% mine is in here. So I will have to watch this. And as soon as its recording is available, would you let us know?
Yes, I will. It'll actually be, well, we have another event in the Zoom room right after that's being recorded, so it may slow down the recording, but by the end of the day, I should have the Zoom link. From that, I will likely upload it to YouTube. That way it doesn't expire. And you guys can always use this as a resource to come back to watch.
Thank you.
Any other questions? And I will go ahead and stop sharing just so I can make sure I see everybody correctly. Come off mute, ask your questions. This is a very informal setting, and I do believe after my first, okay, I was a little anxious about Frontline and getting my ETEs to be able to do it. But after the first month, everything was so smooth. Oh, thank you, Netta. Everything was really smooth. The only problem we had was one, everyone entered their hours on the same day of the month. So I had people who claimed 40 hours on one day. And two, we had people who claimed hours on a SCOE holiday. I'm going to send my ETEs the SCOE calendar, because if you don't use your paper timesheets anymore, you're not going to know exactly what's a holiday for SCOE. That may not be, yes, the holiday is difficult. That's a perfect day for ETEs to work when you're not working at your job. However, it's not allowed for SCOE. But whether you work, Susan, on the 19th and you claim the hours on the 20th, that's between you and Frontline. Yes, I will send a copy of the calendar to OTAN, and then they can send that out to you. I don't have all of your email addresses.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
so
sent it out today.
yeah. So I think that it'll make you anxious at first. You guys probably have some certain feelings about this, but you're going to find that this is very easy. It's going to be such a stress relief for you. Go ahead, Barry.
Thank you once again. So this is a question maybe for Diana, if it's possible. I know Diana always sends us reminders like when the timesheets are due. Diana, do you think it would be possible to include in that email reminder, oh, by the way, March 24th is a SCOE holiday. Make sure you're not, counting that day. Just those reminders that we get from you are very helpful. And that would be a nice thing to add to that, if
Yeah,
possible.
absolutely. Yeah.
Unless Diana's
Thank
like me and who logs into work on a SCOE holiday and wonders where everybody else in the department is.
I've never done that, Holly.
I do it all the time.
Yeah.
Mandalee's like, well, I hope you have a good 3-day weekend. I'm like, what? We have a 3-day week.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Diana.
No problem.
Okay, any other questions? I didn't think it would take long. So we're probably at the point where we're done. Farzana, if you want to stick around, I do have 15 more minutes. I could actually walk you through from the beginning again, so you don't have to wait for the recording. If that's something you would like to do.
It's not that my head is not completely here.
Okay.
I just flew in last night and I got home at 11:30 and I came to work at 6:45 this morning. So seriously, I'm looking at the names again and again, and I say, wait, who is who? So no, I'm in a wrong. Yes, I think recording is better for me.
Listen, at my age, I just adopted a toddler. So I get that your head is not there. My head is never here anymore. So the recording I will absolutely make that available. I will add it to the TAP YouTube channel so that it stays forever.
Very good. Thank you again.
Yes. And tomorrow's meeting at 3 is, yes, it is the exact same training. It's for those that were unable to attend today.
All right.
The recording, I will, as soon as I have it uploaded to YouTube, which should be by tomorrow morning, I will send it to Diana and she will email it out to all of you with the link. And so just when you get that email, pin it, save it however you do to make it at the top of your list so that you can access it when you need to. And Diana is now probably just as proficient in Frontline as I am. But if you have questions when you're doing your timesheet, reach out to Diana. If you need to reach out to me, if Diana needs to get me on a Zoom with you one-on-one and have you share screen while you enter your timesheet, we can absolutely do that if that would make you more comfortable in submitting your first timesheet. And you're welcome, Paul. Okay, guys, I think that's it. Again, you're very welcome for this today. And thank you guys for coming, for asking your questions. Diana, thank you for setting this up. I will get the link out to you. You can get it out to them. I will also send you the SCOE calendar of holidays that you can send out to them. And then if anyone has any questions throughout the first month of using this, feel free to reach out. We can set up a Zoom one-on-one and help them get through it.
Wonderful.
Bye.
Thank you,
I can't
Holly.
wait to see all of you next week, I think, right? Soon, somewhere next week.
3 of us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Bye.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.